He never spoke. He never smiled. Until he picked up the coin, the one no one was supposed to touch. Some stories are never told. They're lived, then forgotten. But sometimes a single mistake brings them back to life. To most people, it was just a military museum. But for him, it echoed with a past carried in silence. No one knew his name. No one heard his voice. No one knew where he came from. He just walked. An old man, simply dressed, a plain cap without any emblem. Faded pants, a worn jacket, neat but aged. His face carried the lines of wars long past. But his eyes, they stood still, scanning time itself. It was a quiet midday at the museum. The school groups had already left. The janitors were on break. The security guard was dozing off. And he entered, soundless. No greeting, no hesitation. He headed straight for the medals section. At the same time, new interns were working in the hall. 3 young men, full of confidence, lacking caution. One of them, Brandon, was wiping the display glass when he turned to his friend. "Hey, check this out. Isn't this a Special Forces medal? If it's real, it's pretty badass." "Nah, just for show," the other laughed. Then Brandon paused for a moment and opened the display case. It was against the rules, but to the young, rules aren't barriers, just suggestions. He reached in, picked up the coin, twirled it in his hand, smirking. "Look at that shine. It's like it's still on duty." And that's when it happened. Brandon felt something, a presence, like someone was standing right behind him, not breathing, just watching. He turned around and saw him, the old man. He had seen him earlier that morning, passed by without noticing. But now, he wasn't the same man. His gaze locked on the coin. There was no anger in his eyes, no fear, just wait, quiet authority. The man didn't speak. He extended his hand. Brandon gave him the coin without thinking. A reflex, as if the coin itself realized it didn't belong there. The man looked at it, his face unchanged, but his lips moved. "You're not ready to hold this." And in that moment, the entire museum fell silent. The guards stood up. The interns looked away. Everyone understood. This man was someone else entirely. Some people never speak of their past because it's too dark to tell, because duty is not a story, because some men, after finishing the war, simply go silent. Brandon couldn't sleep that night. It was well past midnight. His laptop sat on his lap as he scrolled through the museum database. He searched Thomas Hale. Nothing came up. In the records, he was listed only as a donor. No rank, no service history, no background, nothing. But he couldn't forget the coin. That moment, that stare, the way the room fell silent when the coin was lifted. The past reflected in that man's eyes. Brandon decided to dig deeper, not the official files, the real stories, military forums, old SEAL archives, hidden reports. He searched for hours, thousands of files, redacted documents, declassified missions. And then he found it. A report. Date March 1973. Location Laos border. Mission Black Echo Protocol. Participants redacted. Operator TRH. Status alive. Note: irreplaceable asset. Challenge coin designated for silent confirmation only. Brandon leaned back. His heart raced. It was real. This man wasn't just someone with a past. He had walked through history in silence. Meanwhile, the museum director had quietly begun noticing things as well. He checked security logs. There was no recorded entry for Hale, no turnstile badge swipe, no ID check, no signature. And yet, he was there, just like always, like someone who lived in the spirit of the building. Brandon approached the director. "I need to ask you something," he said. "We have no real record of Thomas Hale, but I don't think we know who he truly is." The director nodded. Neither do I. Later that day, Brandon quietly walked to the coin display. He cleaned the glass, adjusted the items, but something was missing. A story. Beside the coin, a small note was now placed. Not many had noticed yet, but it was there. Some honors are invisible. Some men don't speak, but some moments speak for them forever. Below it, one line. Thomas Hale. A man's past often doesn't fit into files, but a coin, sometimes it echoes a silent legacy, and for those who can hear it, silence says everything. He never introduced himself, never said I, but the moment he picked up the coin, everyone said he, because some people don't tell their stories, they show them. A week passed. The museum was the same. Time moved as usual. Brandon was on duty. This time, he was ready. He had a feeling Hale would return. And he was right. He entered through the door with the same silence, same jacket, same steps, same expression. But something was different that day. This time, people noticed him, not just a passing glance. They looked with attention, with respect. Brandon was standing at the display, waiting. The coin was back in the glass case, but it wasn't alone anymore. Below it, a new plaque had been placed, small, unadorned, but heavy. Some things are carried in silence. Some men earn their respect through it. Below that, only one line. Thank you, Mr. Hale. Hale stepped closer. He read the plaque, stared at the coin for a long time through the glass. Then, he turned to Brandon. He said nothing, but the corner of his lips lifted, just a little. A smile, perhaps his first in a decade. For Brandon, that small gesture weighed more than 1,000 thank yous. He said nothing in return, just lowered his head, and he understood. He never touched the coin again, because now he knew what it truly was. And it wasn't just metal, it was the weight of history. From that day on, something shifted at the museum. No one spoke about it out loud, but people started behaving differently. Visitors noticed Hale. As he passed, they looked quietly, but never blocked his path. Some asked Brandon, was it really him? When did he serve? Do you know what he did? Brandon answered only once. Everything went silent when he held the coin. One of the guards voluntarily placed a small American flag next to the case. The museum director didn't even ask. He already knew. The coin wasn't just a display anymore. It had become a testimony. Some people don't shout, some don't speak. But one day, there comes a moment when no words are needed. That coin, that moment, that's when everything changed. Some men don't wear medals. Some men don't speak of memories. Some men leave just as they lived, in silence. But the weight of who they were stays behind. That day, when Hale left the museum, he said nothing, walked out the glass doors with the same steady steps, his old brown bag swinging lightly by his side. But the bag wasn't empty. It carried something unseen. The past. Brandon watched him through the window. Hale's silhouette melted into the sun. This time, those steps meant something else. Everyone knew who he was now, or at least what he was. That week, a small but meaningful change appeared in the museum. Next to the coin's glass case, a new plaque was added. No flashy words, no long description. Just this, TRH, the story behind the silence. Only a few knew what the initials stood for, but everyone knew what the silence meant. Visitors began pausing in front of the coin. Some bowed their heads, some just stood quietly. But they all felt the same thing. This man was not ordinary. One day, Brandon turned to a new intern and said, "If an old man ever comes and stands in front of that coin, don't follow him. Don't ask questions. Just stay quiet, because his silence knows more than you ever will." Some men don't speak because words would never be enough. They live, they finish the mission, and they carry the rest inside. Thomas Hale never gave interviews. He never wrote a book. He never told his story. But when he picked up that coin, everything was said. And those who saw it would never forget. And what about you? Have you ever met someone like him? Someone who once wore the uniform, but now walks in silence, not asking for attention, just living with honor. If you have, write their name in the comments. Leave a thank you. Because some heroes don't want applause, they just want to be remembered. And if you believe silence can speak louder than words, share this story. Subscribe. Because here at Silent Stories, we keep the untold alive. And next time you see an old man quietly walking through a museum, don't look at the coin in his hand. Look at the past he's carrying.